Hello again, everybody. It is Saturday, July 17th, and we've got some progress to share. First is we've got the granite face done. And it took some doing, but we got it to a place that we're pretty happy with it. We ended up taking some of these, or asking that they take some more of the stone that was around the property back and cut it and make sure that it was the right size. So we got like a fresh cut on that edge that will soften up a little bit. I'll probably just do that myself. And yeah, this big one was from, I think, the back of the house behind the porch. So that's why it's a little bit different color, but all of these need some like sandblasting, or not sandblasting, power washing. We'll get them cleaned up a bit. And then along this side, this kind of ugly section here, this is where the front door is going to be. So again, we're going to have short-term steps covering this up, and then long-term it'll get run in basically right here. This little block, there's a seam here, and that'll get covered up with the wall, because this will essentially be where the breezeway is entering the side entrance, the kind of everyday entrance. But I think it turned out really good. Like I said, it took some doing. Initially they were not choosing the best stone for this very visible location. I think these all turned out great. Along the front, I think we had seen most of this. This was kind of the only stone that wasn't in. This was another one that was from the back of the house. It had all this moss on it. There was actually a lot more on it. And we'll clean it up and take care of it. You notice that the sills for, come on, focus camera. Anyway, the sills for the windows here are not in. That is because we're going to put the windows in first. So they're just kind of placeholders. And that one doesn't look like it fits awesome. So that one might actually not be going there. This is the front. And again, those two stones there are in the middle there are all getting covered up with the front steps, so we won't see them. It's basically these four stones. That one, this big guy, that big guy, and that big one on the corner. So looks pretty good. I like that sill. It actually rolls out. That one's perfect. I think last time we expressed some concern about what was going on here in the corner, and I think all in all it turned out about as good as we could have hoped for. Cleaned that up and actually used some stone and scabbed it in there. There's another piece of granite there, so if that ends up being exposed, then we will see more stone instead of just the mortar. So I think we've already shown this. This is done. It has been done. It did a little bit of chiseling away at the top. This has got to be nice and clean where the brick is going to lay. Tried to straighten it out because, again, that's got to hold a straight line down the line there. And this is pretty typical where it'll bulge out. But again, I can, if it's not to my liking, the brick masons will have a crack at it, and or I can just do it. I've actually done a little bit of this before in college. I did a couple of years of stonework, and I still have my chisels and hammers and stuff, so nothing going on around here. Has been some stuff going on inside, and I guess we'll have to take a look at that. But here's the back. They broke this into two pieces because they didn't have a lot of tall pieces anymore. But again, you're not really even going to see this. This was kind of a waste. Probably Should have just kind of saved our money on that one. Got a lot of extra stone. These were the short ones. This was the one I had them take out of there, I think. And we sourced most of that stone on the side that you saw I got installed from the couple of pieces that were back here. We did end up pulling them out, having them get recut, and I'm glad we did, because it turned out great. We got this piece in too, and again it was a different piece because it had like 4 inches of mortar underneath, or it would have. And I think this one, again, turned out much better than it otherwise would have. So, all in all, very pleased with how the granite was going. Check out down in the basement. We thought we were going to pour last week, and then we've had some issues that we were trying to figure out. So as you can see, the plastic is kind of taped up all to the walls, and that's because they're going to pour up to the plastic, and then they want to be able to return that plastic into the vapor barrier up the wall. That'll go all the way to the top of the roof as well. This is new. This got cleaned up and fixed down on the base here. We've got some of this tape sitting down. So that is recessed because it needs to be in contact with the concrete of the footing. So when they pour it in, it'll be a little thicker, and then actually it's like 10 or 12 inches thick underneath there. So that'll all get done and taped together. But we're also looking at, I don't know exactly what went on here, but that doesn't look particularly beautiful or airtight. Trying to get it airtight. So we've seen a lot of issues like what we're seeing here, where, you know, clearly this is not a sealed membrane. And the whole point of this is to have it completely sealed. We've got gaps where there is no plastic and no tape, like right here. So we're trying to work through and figure out what we need to do to make sure that this gets done properly. And that we have material to come up the corner, like here. This just got done. Wasn't here yesterday. And it's just not super tight. We're not going to pay all this money and do all of this excess. Like, this rebar is not necessary. We paid extra for it, and it needs to float. It needs to be up off of the bottom of the floor in order for it to function properly. So we're going to make sure that happens, whether it's me standing here while they're pouring it, watching the guy pull it up, or preferably just him putting it up on stands or blocks. I think is pretty common practice, so we'll see what we end up with. But the air tightness to this vapor barrier is my main concern. Just a couple of other places that we're trying to figure out is, you know, this one doesn't quite come up the wall, and so like after this is poured, are we going to have access to this little sheet of plastic, enough of it to come out away from the wall and under the plate of the stud wall that needs to get built for the insulation, and then up the front of the stud wall with a different vapor barrier. So I'm not sure why we didn't just, if we ran out of sheeting, just, you know, tack an 18-inch piece across, and then you definitely have something that'll be continuous. So I don't know. This whole job down here doesn't feel terrific to me. And we paid extra money to get it done in a fancy way so that it would be completely sealed, clean vapor barrier with no sealing issues, like, you know, right here, no tape. So yeah, I'm not feeling super thrilled about the outcome down here, but you know what? Granite was the same way. So ultimately, people will do a good job. You just got to push them. I think they're gonna go as fast as they can so they can get to the next job and to make sure that their priorities are met. And if you don't push back a little bit, gently and respectfully and kindly, then they don't know that you're not satisfied. So we've been trying to gently and kindly express that we'd like higher quality pour down here and make sure that all of this time, energy, materials, planning, labor doesn't go for waste down here, and we end up with a moist basement anyway. That would be the worst case scenario, is we've spent all this time and money and end up with an ordinary basement, a typical basement. We really want to make that half of the basement very much usable space in the future, very much living space, as I've talked about in previous videos. So that's our goal. We're going to make sure that it happens, and hopefully next week, if it's not raining too hard, we will get a floor in here, and it'll be great, and I'll share it with you when it happens. Till then, take care.